Hello everyone, my name is Beansprout and today we're going to be doing another tier list video. My last tier list video did, kind of well, so I thought I'd do another one. I did make a video on this same topic about a year ago now, but that video is outdated and I've kind of changed my opinions on this. Yeah, so we're going to be ranking all of the Doom games. Sorry, correction, all of the Doom games I've played. But anyway, without me rambling anymore, let's get into the first one. Right out the gate, I want to say Doom 1 is an absolutely phenomenal game. Not only is it one of the games that paved the way for the modern shooters we have now, but even in 2022, this game is still very solid and very fun to play. It may look old, but the gameplay hasn't aged a day. An added benefit with this game is that there's loads of ways to play this, and you can play it on pretty much anything. There's so many different versions of the game and different source ports that you can find that allow you to kind of have your perfect experience with the game. And if you're using something like GZ Doom, like me, then you can kind of customize it to your heart's content. And that's not even mentioning the massive modding scene for this game. So, I think I'm going to put the original Doom into A tier. Anyway, let's move on to Doom 2. Visually, Doom 2 hasn't changed much from Doom 1, and many of Doom 1's enemies return in Doom 2, but of course there is some new additions as always, and they're great. It's also the first Doom game that included the super shotgun, which is now a staple of the series. And just like its predecessor, Doom 2 has a gigantic modding scene, and it's managed to keep this game alive for nearly 30 years, which is a giant accomplishment in my opinion. Because of how much Doom 2 builds off of the first game, the game is still very fun to play in this day and age. Some of the level design is pretty bad later on into the game, but the rest of the game makes up for that. And plus, you don't have to play those levels anyway, because like I said, there is a massive modding scene. So yeah, I think I'm going to put Doom 2 into A tier, just like Doom 1. But just a bit higher, because I personally prefer Doom 2 over Doom 1. Now, moving on to Doom 64. In the past I've had some not so positive opinions on this game, but after replaying it I can say it's not that bad. I'm still not personally a fan of the game's soundtrack. The only good music in the game is the intro music in my opinion. I also don't like the fact that there's no reload animations for any of the weapons. And for those of you who don't know what I don't mean actual reloading. I just mean proper animations for like cocking the shotgun or something. I don't hate Doom 64 as much as I used to think, so I think I'm going to give the game C tier. My reason for this is that I don't absolutely love the game, it's definitely not one of my favourites in the series, but it's not a bad game by any means. Now, moving on to Doom 3. Doom 3 is a game that a lot of people seem to think is a bad game. Or they say it's not a bad game, but it's just a bad Doom game, which is wrong. No, it's a very good Doom game. If it wasn't a good Doom game, it wouldn't be called Doom, would it? Many people dislike Doom 3 because of what their favourite YouTubers said. And I've made 2 other videos explaining this, so I'm not going to explain that much here. But I think Doom 3's gameplay is very fun. It's a lot slower than most of the other games in the series, but I don't mind that. I did used to be one of those people who hated the game despite not playing it, but eventually I decided to let go of that and play the game for myself and formulate my own opinion. And my own opinion is that I very much like the game, and for that I'm going to give it B tier. Now, moving on. Doom 3 BFG Edition is the most commonly used version of Doom 3, and the only reason I'm including it here is because it changes so much from Doom 3. It doesn't change stuff like enemies or level design. What it changes is stuff like the amount of ammo on the map, and how bright said maps are. I was going to leave it out of this tier list, but I thought I'd include it simply to mention my opinions on this. I hate how bright it is. I also hate that they increased the ammo counts, and removed the flashlight. I know the flashlight was originally going to be like it is in BFG Edition, but unfortunately the original version of Doom 3 wasn't like that, and I much prefer the original version, simply because it's nowhere near as easy. For that, Doom 3 BFG Edition gets E tier. It's still Doom 3, it's just a butchered version of Doom 3. Moving on to Doom 2016. Doom 2016 brought the series back to life. Doom 2016 was the result of a 12-year gap between Doom 3 and Doom 2016. Over that time, the series went through quite the evolution. Originally, the game was meant to be a bit more like Call of Duty, hence the community calling this build of the game Call of Doom. Thankfully, this never got released. Instead, we got the Doom 2016 that we know and love. Probably one of the first games to show up in this retro revival, and probably one of the best. Doom 2016 is the game that got me into the series, and I've had a lot of fun playing it over the years. And for the combined reasons of it getting me into the series, it bringing the series back in the first place, and just the general amount of fun I've had playing it over the past few years, I'm going to put it into S tier. Now, before we move on to Doom Eternal, I'd first like to ask that if you're enjoying this video, that you give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to further support the channel, then I'd recommend checking out my merch store. All of this helps me both keep these videos doing well and keeps me motivated to make them, so I'd much appreciate your support. But anyway, let's get back to what I was saying. I know it's stereotypical to say by now, but Doom Eternal is one of the best FPS games ever made. It single-handedly showed the potential of what a great FPS game could be, and in my opinion, it's currently the best game in the boomer shooter circle, despite it not really being a boomer shooter. Despite what Ultra Kill fans will tell you, Doom Eternal is not just flashy visuals and good music, it actually has quite the solid gameplay to it. But for Doom Eternal itself, like I said, gameplay's great, music is absolutely phenomenal, and to go along with that, it's visually stunning and amazingly optimized. So, I think I'm going to give Doom Eternal an S tier, just above Doom 2016. Now let's move on to the first of two DLCs for Doom Eternal. The Ancient Gods Part 1 builds off of what Doom Eternal did, and it does it brilliantly. The Ancient Gods Part 1 is one of my favourite things to play. I won't say it's as good as the main campaign, but it's very close. Once again, the gameplay is absolutely phenomenal, and the new enemies that they've introduced are brilliant. Along with that, I'm one of the people who don't mind the change from Mick Gordon to Andrew Hulshult and David Levy. I think them two did a brilliant job on the music, and some of their songs I actually prefer. Just the main thing that brings the game down a bit for some people is that it's a bit difficult. I personally wouldn't say I find the Ancient Gods Part 1 difficult, I know the first level like the back of my hand. But for many in the community it was like whiplash, having not played the game for a while, and then coming back to this. But aside from that, in my personal opinion, I think it's an A tier game. High A tier game. Now, moving on to the last item on the list. The Ancient Gods Part 2 was surrounded by controversy when it came out. Some of it justified, some of it not. I feel guilty to say that I contributed to some of this drama, but I have since cleared it all up. The whole community had a bit of a meltdown over this, and it was largely unjustified. If you want a broader perspective on this, I'd recommend checking out Under the Mayo's video on it, as he has a lot more time to explain it than I do in this small segment. But overall, the Ancient Gods Part 2 is not that bad. Since it's come out, they have buffed some of the areas in the game, and I think it's made a massive difference. Even if it was a tiny change, I still think it's made the game a lot more fun to play. And for context, it was very easy when it came out. So, having said all that, the game is still pretty fun. So I'm going to give it high B tier, just above Doom 3. I wouldn't quite say it's A tier, but it's close to A tier. But what do you think? Give me your list in the comments down below. Do you agree, disagree with what I've said here? Let me know. And along with that, you can also like the video and subscribe to the channel. I also have a merch store, a Twitter and a Discord, which are all linked in the pinned comment and the description. I also stream here on YouTube, which is another great reason to join the Discord, as you'll be notified every time I go live, because I don't really have a consistent schedule. It's usually a Friday or a Saturday, but you know, life gets in the way and sometimes things have to change. But other than that, I don't really have much left to say. So, thank you for watching, and as always, have a nice day.